presenting to them a framework on how we will actualize the independence of our nation come 2022. I want to use this opportunity to greet all those who are watching from Ground Zero, from Mezam, Taambeng, Taamafen, Taamalung, those in Quen, Taambese, Taambulung. If I don't call, please forgive me. I hope if I don't call now, I'm going to call it later. Those in the top one, the top two, Mbengbi Road, Mancho Street. I want to greet you all. And I'm going to Fako right now. Those in Fako, Victoria, towards Meme, I greet you all. Ediki, Ekumbe, Mutengene, Munyenge. I want to salute you all. I wish I could do that using your local tongue. Those in Manu, Bachua Kagbe, Bachua Tai, in Tinto, in Kendem, in Etogo, in Number, Widikum, those in Momo, Besi. I want to say that we are live with a pre-speech analysis of the president, and on top of the hour, exactly 8 p.m. Amber time, the president will be talking to the nation on some very serious things. I also want to hint you, I've not been told, but I've been informed from the office of the president that there is a big announcement. You do not want to miss this announcement. So tell somebody to connect. We are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, and on satellite across sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you all for tuning in. Tell somebody to tell somebody that we're live. With me on the panel, I have a great Eric Ate, I have Dr. Anderson of Home Affairs, and I have the one and only one woman on the platform, Secretary of State for Women's Services, Dr. Patience. Lady and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Hear me, please just say hi to me so that I can smile more. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't do one now.
Hello, Eric Ate,
I'm
I can
good.
hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes,
Buddy,
Yes,
can
we're
you hear me?
live.
I can hear you.
Okay, you can hear me. Okay,
Can
thank
you
you.
I can
hear
hear you
me?
very loud and clear.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yes, I can hear
Okay,
you
thank you.
very loud and clear.
Can you
I'd
hear
like
me?
to see the panelists on the screen. I'd like to see the panelists on the screen so that we can start this discussion really quickly. 2021 has been a remarkable year, full of plenty. So much to talk about tonight. I'm not sure if we will be able to exhaust some of the things that has happened this year before the president comes up. And I don't understand why the panelists are not on the screen. We have people complaining that there's no sound. Can we have sound, please? Thank you. So, like I was saying, I want to believe that I was greeting all those in ground one and they heard me. Now that I'm getting some feedback that there's no sound, I may still want to greet some of you. If I could have all the panelists on the screen, I will be excited and I will be ready to start. I like all of us to be on the screen. So let me use this opportunity to say hi again to those in Mezam, all those watching in Mezam. I want to tell you hi in Ntamalung, Ntamafe, in Ntato, Ntambesi, all the Ntats, can the executors of the Ntats. I say hello to you. And those in the top one, the top two, the top three, the top four, hi. Those in Manchester Street, those watching from Old Town, those watching and Mudakwe Upstation, hi, hello to you. Those watching from Santa Boy, okay, Tunja, I say hi to you. I'm greeting you. I'm going now to to Manfe, or would I say Manu? I hope I can exhaust as many names as possible. You have Bacho Tai, Bacho Kagbe, you have Tinto, you have Bisongabang, you have Kendem, you have Bato, you have okay. See how much I get from Fako. I Ediki Ekumbe, I'm not sure that's in Fako. I think that should be in Meme. But you have Munyenge, you have Mutengene, you have Tiko, you have Victoria watching us. Like I said earlier on, this is the evening you have been waiting for. The time that our own president will be talking to us, will be giving to us strategies for 2022. We look forward to this exceptional moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Anderson, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Paddy. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, I would have started with Dr. Patience. Dr. Patience,
Of course, ladies before gentlemen. Thank you, Patty. It's a pleasure to be here.
I like it.
Greetings, Dr.
I don't know what is happening
Anderson.
with
He's bashful.
Eric Ate. He just disappeared from the screen. But if Dr. Mungwa is
No,
there, okay. Dr. Mungwa, good evening.
Good afternoon. The audio is not as good as I would have liked, but I can just barely hear you. Again, good afternoon. Happy to be here.
Okay, I'm surprised you cannot hear me. I would like the studio to work on my sound. I just checked from my direction. I think everything is just quite good. But then I'll prefer that the studio should increase my sound. Thank you very much. If we all can be on the screen, that will just be fabulous. Okay, let's start right away. Director of Cabinet, I'm starting with you on this. I understand you among closest with the president and you communicate with the president all the time. And do you know what has been happening this year? Like I said, it was an interesting year with the ups and downs, and it has gone down the records that 2021 has been the greatest year ever in the history of the peoples of the former British South, like never before. But again, it has been full of its own challenges. Would you want to give us a resume of 2021, Eric, please?
yeah, can you guys hear me?
Everybody can hear you.
Yes.
I can.
Yes, I want to appreciate everyone who's here today, and I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. Like you rightfully said, 2021 has been a good year for us. I don't think in the course of our entire revolution, even for the past 50 something years, we have never gotten to the stage where we find ourselves now. I think the president has done an incredibly good job. But you know what? It's not just credit just doesn't go to the president. It goes to all the county chairs and the defense people. We've had problems, but you know what? I think as a collective, we have done such a good job holding La Republic to account, making them understand that we mean business and that our independence must come. Whether they like it or not, they will leave our country. That alone in itself, is great success. I just want to reiterate that when it comes to the internal conflict that we have within the IG, it is very unfortunate. However, in every political setting, there will always be agitations. But I think we are going to overcome. I think today we will listen to the president speak to us. He will give a more elaborate, um, I would say, resume, like you put it, about 2021, and then maybe give us a way forward for 2022. So I would not like to jump the gun and start saying things that I don't really know if he's going to say it or not. But he's the commander in chief, and he's going to give us at least some leeway of what is really going to be happening in 2022. Thank you. I'll leave it there for now. Paddy?
I'd like to
Thank
take
you.
it to Dr. Beckers. Actually, we have, I'm already, they have indicated that the president is already ready. So we have less than 40 minutes to get this discussion. So we'll try as much as possible to be brief. I want to find out something from you, Dr. Patience. I'm coming to you. As the Secretary of State for Women's Services of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, what is your appraisal of 2021 in relation to the activities that the Women's Department has indulged with?
Thank you, Patty, for that question. Uh, Director Eric Ates said it all, that it has been a challenging year, but it also has been a year with substantial results vis-a-vis our quest for independence. We've accomplished a lot, and it's shocking that in a year that we've accomplished a lot, we're seeing so much agitation, so much animosity towards the president. But only time will tell. As far as the women's department is concerned, we have accomplished quite a bit. We have accomplished quite a bit. And the reason one of the reasons I'm here at this moment is to share what happened during our last get together as a department, where we brought women from all 13 counties, 61 LGAs, during our Ambazonia Women Liberation Solidarity Summit. We promised to come out with a position statement, which we have. And I want to use this opportunity, Paddy, if you will permit me, to read that statement before the president comes on board. Can I do it at this moment?
Yeah, do it. I hope it will not take more than 5 minutes, please.
No,
Yeah, go
it will
ahead.
not take long at all. It's a statement. So let me
Okay,
just
go
read
ahead.
it, please.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
Ambazonians in general, and women and girls in particular, have suffered disproportionately and continue to bear the brunt of war since November 30th, 2017, when President Biya of La République du Cameroon declared war on the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. We have experienced and are experiencing a wide spectrum of losses, namely the loss of life, the loss of family members, particularly spouses and children. We have been subjected to repeated rapes and other forms of degrading women abuses, loss of personal freedoms, and loss of property. Based on United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325 of 2000 on women, peace, and security, we, the women of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, from all 13 counties, hereby state our aspirations for permanent, lasting peace for Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, based on truth and justice. Whereas on the 22nd of September 2017, the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, rose in unison across every city, town, village, and county with peace plans denouncing the continued colonization and illegal occupation of their land. Whereas on the 1st of October 2017, the people of the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, came out in their masses and reclaimed the restoration of their independence. Whereas on November 30th, 2017, President Biya of La République du Cameroon declared war on the people of Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, resulting approximately to over 30,000 people killed, over 500 of our villages burnt, over 1 million of school-aged children deprived of education, over 500,000 refugees, over 1.5 million internally displaced persons, thousands maimed, raped, and imprisoned, and over 10,000 widows and 15,000 orphans. Whereas during the Ambazonia Stakeholders Strategic Conference of April 11th to 14th in Berlin, Germany, the interim government was empowered by the people as the legitimate representative leadership body of the people of Ambazonia. We, Ambazonia women representatives from all 13 counties, on this 19th day of December 2021, following our Ambazonia Women Liberation Solidarity Summit, call for one, a United Nations supervised ceasefire in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, cognizant of the humanitarian disaster, to stop La Republique's invading killer squad from entering our land. Number two, the use of Ambazonia's educational curriculum in our schools, and for students to return safely to school, and for La République du Cameroun to adhere to the United Nations Security General's call to silence the gun amidst COVID-19 pandemic. Number three, an international fact-finding mission to help identify and prosecute the perpetrators of genocide, war crimes, and other crimes against humanity in Ambazonia since 2016, especially because after the Rwanda genocide, the Never Again declaration was made. Number four, urge the United Nations in particular and the international community at large to put pressure on La République du Cameroun to pull its forces out of Ambazonia territory and to retain its boundary as at January 1st, 1960, the day she got her independence, and her national boundaries became solidified as per the African Union Constitutive Act, to which La République du Cameroun is a founding signatory. The UN and the international community to recognize the international boundaries between Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia, and La République du Cameroun. Number five, the release of Ambazonia prisoners of conscience from jails in La République du Cameroun and in Ambazonia. We, the Ambazonian women, are committed to the internationally endorsed Swiss-led process,
Yep.
a Swiss-led initiative supported by the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, the government that oversees 13 counties. This initiative envisages a negotiated settlement based on justice and the truth. Visit existing treaties, resolutions, and judgments. Signed December 20th, 2021. And that's the statement that the women of Ambazonia have come up with as their position statement regarding our quest for independence. Thank you for letting me read this today.
You see that mark for there.
Thank you very much. Eric, I tell your life. So whatever you say, it's being heard. If you have a concern, you can type on the platform or just type it with Comrade Oben. Thank you very much for that insightful. Um, you are the Secretary of Home Affairs, Dr. Anderson. Please, you have to talk to us. What is it all about? You have about 3 minutes to do that, 3 to 5 minutes. And what have you been able to achieve this year? When did you take office? What have you done? What is the relevance of your office? I think the Amazonian people are looking forward to that explanation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paddy. I thank all the panels. I thank everybody. I thank all the Ambazonians. Um, your humble servants has actually engaged with all the LGs and the counties to make sure that things should move appropriately and to move towards the right direction. But before I commence, I want to say happy New Year to everybody out there in the world. And I also want to wish La Republic that they should not forget about their independence come tomorrow, because that was the day that they achieved their independence and they cannot run away from it. They should make it public, and so that the whole world should know that Ambazonia is separate from them. As the Secretary of Home Affairs, I and my team will move from LGA to LGA from counties to counties to make sure that we solve some of the problems that are emerging So we did everything possible. We tried to organize elections, some of which were smooth, some were contested. Like I can tell you, without the Department of Home Affairs and the organization of all the LGS and the counties, you have to know that the defense structure will be weakened because we need to lay the foundations for these executives or the leaders of the various LGS and counties to function properly. That way they can actually handle the affairs of the security of Ambazonia. The Department of Home Affairs have stretched right up to ground one, and we are constantly communicating with our own another structure that is there in ground one, and things are functioning appropriately. I would like to say we have some obstacles. In a house, not everybody can be satisfied with everything, including you. Well, that is human nature. We cannot, a lot of people are complaining. I mean, some people are complaining, especially the case of Momo. Yeah, Momo, 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 Momo. Can you imagine that election was conducted in NG and the Department of Home Affairs was not consulted? And then we happen to hear that there is something going on there and the members are calling here and there. I was a little bit privileged, even though I was at work and tried to listen to some of the members on the platform of Secretary Chris Arno, and I see how they were castigating me, telling me I was doing this, I intervened this. The problem is, does the Department of Affairs vote as a vote in any of those LG? No, we don't have it. The people has a voice. The people have the audacity to choose whom they feel that can govern them. In Nengi, elections were conducted and we're not informed, so we have to go there on it. And when we went there, we asked everybody. There were about 50 to 60 participants. The meeting was recorded. There was because my iCloud was full and there was nothing we to retrieve the audio so that we can even give to you so that you play it. Let Ambazonia see the reality. I mean, what we went there and did. As a Department of Home Affairs executive member, I have to ask the outgoing chair, Jackson. I said, do you want us to annul this election? I equally ask the members of Pingi, do you want us to annul this election? My patient is right at me right now. She was there. And the overwhelming majority said, no, we don't want to annul the election. We are comfortable with the leadership that we have voted. So, what is the Department of Home Affairs supposed to say? Do we say because we're Department of Home Affairs? Do we say because we're, I don't hear you. You want to?
Paddy, we can't hear you.
Yes. So.
Work on that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. I'm saying that we might not be able to exhaust all of that today.
All of that.
But then,
okay.
What I'm trying to get from what you're saying is that there has not been some cohesion between the way you would have expected. There haven't been
Yes.
some better. So, what are you doing before I get to Dr. Mungwa? What are you doing to ensure that come 2022, you can have a better working relationship with grassroots in every LGA and county?
I think constant visitation to all the LGs and talking with them. Maybe every week we have to move to one LG another so that we instill that confidence in the people. We also have to make sure that our LGA members should give a second chance to some members so that because we are all Ambazonians, no matter what we do, no matter the disagreement, we still have to sit on the same table. We have to make sure that we do everything possible to set electoral college for all the way. All members will be very confident in the leadership in which they put in place, because as of now, it's just of the process. We'll also like to make sure that the LGHS should be having direct communication with us. At any time that they have any issues, they should always communicate so that we understand their own side of the story. So we want us to be we want to place a platform where everybody will be free to express, but expressive, um, with more um, with more kind of respect. And we have to make sure that the commander-in-chief, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, should be respected, because there is a problem that many of these people, they don't respect. When that, I don't want to just
I would like to
jump
say
in and start
insubordination.
acting. It will be,
Insubordination. Yeah, thank you very much. Dr.
yeah,
Mungwa, you're welcome.
Thank you, thank you for
Yeah,
inviting me to this panel. I would like to extend New Year wishes to everybody at Ground Zero and the diaspora, Ground One, and again, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you to be part of this panel. Now, I'm going to talk on a few issues that really come to mind. I'm somewhere I'm going to give you some numbers, and then finally, at least I'm going to talk about something about my department, some of the issues that I would like us to change moving forward. First, at the turn of this year, I mean, there were some strategic changes that were brought in by the president, Dr. Samuel Ikomisako, that actually changed the turn of this struggle. And we saw the way our fighters on the ground were motivated, and you saw the outcome. But quite interestingly, one of the issues that Dr. Sako was able to, uh, how do I put it, to resolve, which people probably take it for granted now, was the meet the press, the meet the press arrangement, that he was able to talk to the press in Nigeria. Are you hearing me? Hello? Because I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you're kind of low.
Okay. Right, because yeah, okay. So they made the press where Dr. Sako was able to speak to the press in Nigeria and in and other African states. This was actually aimed at diffusing some of the misconceptions about the fight, especially what Cho Ayaba did, trying to attach us to the Biafra struggle, and it was quite remarkable that he was able to bring that to clarity. And also the Taraba event, where La Republique went into Nigeria and killed some people and tried to turn the tide against us, and that failed too. So these were major achievements, at least on the international scene. Now, internally, we saw the issue with Chris. I don't want to talk so much about it because we've exhausted that. But if you want to look, I want to give you some numbers. Look at President Paul Biya. In 1972, he was responsible for the African Cup of Nations that was held here in La Republique. Again, it flopped. It flopped woefully. 40 years later, he hasn't learned from his mistakes. Now he's trying to stage another African Cup of Nations. Again, it's flopping. It means that he hasn't learned from his
at,
mistakes. What
at the
has he
time, Dr.
done?
Munga,
Yes.
in 1972, President Biya was not yet president.
He was prime minister. He was responsible
He
for
was
the
prime
country.
minister at the
I'm
time. Yeah,
very specific about it. The prime minister was
yeah.
responsible, and Mr. Biya was prime minister at that time, and I know the story very well. Unfortunately, they had to fire the minister of youth and sport. He was the overall manager for this outcome. That's what Ahijo want him to do, but he failed. Okay, and now
And
40 years
and that
later, he
and,
hasn't
and
learned from
that
his mistakes.
that's a major concern, because Ambazonians are really, really concerned. They're concerned about the situation that is happening in Victoria right now. I would say the confusion that is happening in the entire FACO, will we be able to preserve our integrity come January as the nation of French Cameroon continues to impose themselves and they are insisting to organize this tournament in Ambazonia.
Yeah.
Eric,
Yeah.
I'd like you to
Like,
shed some light on that. Let's
unfortunately,
see
the
what's
audio is
happening.
not very good, so I'm not hearing you very well. I just wanted to finish what I had here before we can go into the general discussion. I mean, if you look at the conflict itself, when this conflict started 5 years ago, Mr. Biya gave his military 2 weeks. That is 2 weeks, 14 days, or whatever. Now it has extended to more than 20,000 days. I mean, in terms of leaders and managers are project managers, and so on. So I expected Mr. Biya to understand that if he gave his military 14 days and after 20,000 days he hasn't achieved anything, that should tell him something. I mean, in terms of budget, you can't budget for 14 days just as much as you budget for 20,000 days, and which explains the reason why the economy is down. So it is very clear that from a managerial point of view, he is an absolute loser. And that explains the reason why even what he's trying to do with AFCON is not going to work. That's the point I'm trying to make. He has consistently shown that he's totally incompetent to run a country or an economy.
Yeah,
Back to
okay,
that line
Dr.
of
Mungwa,
fight.
thank you very
And
much.
that's
Dr.
why
Mungwa,
we
we
have
do not
succeeded
have,
so far.
Dr. Mungwa, please, we do not have enough time. The president is supposed to be live in just a few
I,
minutes.
Again,
So we
I'm
do not
sorry, I
have
can't
enough
hear.
time.
I can't get it.
I think there's an issue with your connection or with your volume. Will work that. Try to work on your volume. Eric Ate, I want you to tackle this situation based on what Dr. Mungwa has just raised. We see like there's a lot of chaos, particularly on our social media space. We have received information, someone actually saying audaciously that the Nations Cup will actually take place because as a way to accuse the president of irregular activity in the Fako County. What do you have to say about that?
Well, if that someone is one who pretends to be one of us, then that is their wish. Because there are some within our ranks who have actually embraced the notion that they will do everything to have the president fail in all of his endeavors. But the fact of the matter is, I think what the president said, I think he said he has released enough money to do enough to stop this thing from taking place. We are dealing with very, the difficult situations. Fako, first of all, has been a shaky county where you have people who have been redundant, and then you have members of government who are bringing them back to life, puffing them up. And you even saw what happened the other day. Some action took place in Fako. Uh, they went on one of the defense forums and were giving praises to themselves that they're the ones who carried out the action. The reason why they are doing that is just to water down the president's executive order, making FACO a federal territory. So people who have been redundant, I would say, are still sitting there acting as though they are in charge. So what happens? Whenever action is taken in FACO, they will take credit for it. Go around telling people, oh, we did this, we did that. The president is the commander in chief. The president works with the defense apparatus in FACO. All I'm going to say is that let's wait and see what happens. The one thing I want to let Ambazonians know is that it's not a walk in the park to actually procure the things we need to actually effect, a shutdown of Victoria. It is very difficult to acquire those things. On top of the fact that, FACO itself was in disarray, we're trying to put things together. So if God willing, all the things that have been ordered, all the things that have been put in place arrive and are in place when the time is right, I think we're going to have a very, very big laugh at the end. But I just want to send a message to those whose only motivation is to see that somebody fails. If the president fails, is it really the president who is failing, or is it us? We as a people are failing. If I fail, Paddy, you fail. If I fail, my patient fails. But there are people within this government who are now beginning to act as though any failure on the part of the president is his failure and not our collective failure. That's wrong. But what I would
There's
say is that,
something
huh? You said something?
there's something quite concerning about what you said. You realize that there's been this rhetoric that is sold out there. Dr. Munga, please, you may want to check. There's a background sound coming from you. Please, you have to check on it. I would like the studio to mute Dr. Munga and work with him from the background. Um, if there's been this rhetoric um, produced, I would say fabricated and sponsored. You can't solve problems. You have failed. That, in spite of all the successes, they want to push this through. They want to force this into the mind of Ambazonians. You see, these same individuals, nobody's talking about any successes. That you have failed, you have failed, you have failed. Dr. Patience, tell us something about that. What do you think about that, please?
Yeah, that reminds me of this beautiful land that we live in, the United States of America. You know how Trump became the president? Trump started saying to the American people that Barack Obama was not born in the United States. By saying that, he gathered those people that are racist, I hate to say that cannot believe that a black man will rule America. He built that base with false information. So if people think about this clearly, from January to November, you were not really hearing, from January to September, you're not really hearing all this dismal information about the president. Suddenly, you started hearing his failure, he doesn't solve problems, X, Y, Z, everything that is negative. The more you give out negative information out and people start believing it, then they see a problem when there's no problem. That's how the mind works. Somebody can come out there and say the sky is red every single day, and people are seeing the sky is white, but this person keeps on saying the sky is red and red and red. Some people start believing that maybe the sky is really red. So you're absolutely right that in a year that we've seen so much successes, this administration has been called a failure. But let's even ask a question. Who are those that are supposed to make this work? You know, late President Kennedy said, ask not what the country can do for you, ask what you can do for the country. What have we done individually to make our journey to Boya shorter? I'm asking each and every one of you, what have you done? The LGA chair, the county chair, restoration council members, what have you done? Is it only the president's business? The
Yeah.
answer is no. Thank you so much.
That's a very remarkable.
Buddy, my patient
What
just
are
said
the
something very important. Can I
Yeah, go
just say
ahead,
one
please.
thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just say one thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
I know people might say, hey, you just go straight to the point. The fact of the matter is, my patient said something very interesting. That from January to like October, everything was fine. Then all of a sudden, but my patients, I think you are just being a little bit too modest. It hasn't been so. From January, when some person who probably assumed that his assertions replaces the Constitution threw it out there that the president's term of office will be over in November. Some people in the cabinet abandoned their position, their work, their jobs. They didn't want to work anymore. They didn't want to collaborate anymore. They didn't want to do anything. While the president was going from county to county visiting, I created those links. You distinctly remember that I came into the cabinet forum and the office of the president, and I advised all cabinet members and the office of the president, directors of the office of the president, to accompany the president to all those county visits. You can attest to that. The reason why we try to do that is to recalibrate the minds of the cabinet members and the directors, so that when you go down to the people and listen to their concerns, you will not sit in the cabinet or in the office of the president being blind to what is actually going on within the counties and the LGAs. How many of these people accompany the president? None.
None.
Because you know what? Some of them had already made up their mind that the president was a lame duck president and that he's going to be out in November. There's going to be an election. And so they started creating loyalties within the president's cabinet. You have people, I mean, high-ranking officials who now claim like, hey, you know, somebody does 98% of the work, or this person is better than this person. They were positioning themselves to be president. Even despite all that chaos, we still had a great year. But the thing I'm going to say is that whoever made that statement, you know what I mean, did this country a disservice. Because a statement from an individual doesn't replace the Constitution. When you read the Constitution of Ambazonia, it doesn't say anything about
No,
an election.
Eric, I'll be forced
So
to
that's why I
shut
was
you.
trying to just correct,
Comrade Eric.
articulate what my
I
appreciation
want
was
to
trying to
cut
say.
you because it's about as soon as we receive indication that the president is ready, we'll be short of air. We have just been informed that we have another grace period of 10 minutes because it's about 2 minutes to 8 p.m. Amber time. But this is something I drew from the discussion now is that you are saying something that people started seeing faults in everything as a way to give reasons for a replacement, not amelioration, not collectivism. Do you want to say something about that, Dr. Munga?
Yeah.
I'm
Yes,
coming to you, Dr.
sorry. Right. I'm happy to be back. I changed my device, so I can get you
Perfect.
100% right now. Thank you very much.
Yes,
And I think just to pick up on what Dr. Abiedu said earlier, I think the solution to this is that we need massive education of the Ambazonian population. It's absolutely important that every department should be able to go on air occasionally to actually talk about what they do and what are their expectations and what is it going to galvanize the Ambazonian people. I believe very strongly that many people actually reacted out of ignorance, not that they did that because they just wanted to make the president look bad. They just felt that whatever information comes out of the media, they just have to believe it. But I think it's wrong. We really have to put in a strategy of education the population. Let them know what are the institutions that the president is trying to build. We are building institutions, strong institutions, not strong people. What does that mean? We really have to make a program this year to educate the populace. And before I even say that, I think I cut short my previous presentation. I also wanted to say that every
yeah, you have
head,
about 2 minutes to do that.
yes, every head of a
You have about
department must sign to accept that at the end of a particular period, they must be audited. They must be audited. Uh, Auditing is not an option. It's not something that you say, oh, yeah, I want it, or no, no. It's categorical. And we are going to submit the requirements of that audit. What do we back up information on whatever expenditure that has happened? In case there are doubts, please raise them beforehand so that we can see how those issues can be resolved so that we can move in a very, very coherent manner. The situation where when we talk to a departmental head and then he either say, oh no, I'm not ready, or we don't know where this is, that has to stop. And working with the office of the controller general, I'm sure we are going to make it possible that whenever there's time for an audit, it will be done. And whatever issues arise, we should be able to resolve them. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
You said something, Dr. Mungwa, which I want to ask, and any one of you can respond. Are you saying there wasn't any coherence when it comes to auditing departments, or was it just some form of rebellion or insubordination? Dr. Anderson, please, you want to say something about that? Your volume is too down. Your volume is down. We cannot hear you.
No.
We cannot hear you. But Comrade Eric, please say something about that really quickly. We are running We're running out of time.
What was that again, Barry? What was your question?
Okay, I can hear you, Dr. Anderson. Please speak.
Yes, I would like to say that auditing is kind of a new thing in this government in terms of auditing departments. I think that would be a new innovation because most people believe until you keep money, like my own department, we don't have any budget. So the only thing I think that we should be um, they should audit. It is not only auditing finances, they should also have an appraisal. Like every month, we have an appraisal of every department, what they are doing, and is the way forward. The president is not failing, whether the president failing. If the president is failing, it means that the departments are failing. It means that some of the appointees are also failing. They should not be appointed to the president because the president cannot coordinate everything at the same time. He's not omnipotent, science or anywhere. He's not God. He has his tentacles. We are his tentacles. So we have to only have to call us and tell us what is happening here. And then at the end of the day, we have to tell the Ambazonian people what we have been doing for the past maybe 1 month, maybe quarterly. Let us put it quarterly. So let us put it quarterly because every quarter we come and I tell what your department has done. Stop accusing the president. Stop it.
Well,
It
I
doesn't make
can
sense.
I can personally testify that it has not been the culture of some, I would say most of the departments to present reports. Even last year, when we wanted to put together an entire report for the government, you had, I'm surprised that managers, those who are purporting themselves today as the righteous leaders, didn't have reports. And to say the least, these individuals don't have report. Like I told you during our program on Tuesday, Moment of Truth, I said when they talk to you about a leader that cannot solve problems, a leader that has failed, ask them one question: what have you done with the unit or the department that was given to you? You know,
Right.
anybody talk is cheap.
Right.
As one of our comrades was trying to argue that fact on one platform, and I said, talk is really cheap. One thing that I know is not cheap right now, our brothers, our sisters that are picking up arms, some of them still have primitive weapons against the sophistication of the Franco-Cameroon military. That's a military that receives subvention from the United States, a military that France is backing up, that has taken donations to fight terrorists in the northern part of their country, but they are currently into a war. That the war is silent in our territory. Let's make progress. Chief of Director of Cabinet, a while ago, someone brought to my attention at the background that a certain individual on Facebook has posted that there should not be any cabinet reshufflement. My wonder was, how does it suddenly become a civilian? Because I understand this person is not occupying any position. Even if you're a cabinet member, how does it suddenly become the responsibility of someone who is not a head of state to make such dictates on the person who is the manager and who knows what he's supposed to do? But I'm sure the president is going to tell you a couple of minutes from now if he's doing any form of cabinet reshufflement. What do you think about that kind of conduct? And it has been constant, consistent during the previous weeks.
So
From
you're
the
saying
Facebook.
somebody you heard? Were you saying somebody you heard
Yes, someone
somebody
on
saying?
Facebook. Actually, I just don't want to call their names, but
No, that's
in the
okay.
screenshot.
I understand. If someone is saying that the president should reshuffle his cabinet, then it's just the same trend that is, everybody trying to undermine most of these people trying to undermine the president. The president has the right to reshuffle his cabinet anytime he wants to. We all serve at his pleasure. He's the one who appointed all of us. And you know what I mean? I can speak for myself. And just like he spoke to himself last time, that there is no plus to his life. doing what he does as president. I don't think there is any gratification that I get from being the director of cabinet. Actually, I spend my time, I spend my money, I sit in my office while at work, holding meetings for Ambazonia, running around with the president everywhere. No one pays me for this. So if the president decides tomorrow that, hey, you know what I mean, I want to reshuffle my cabinet, you are gone, or you stay, and you stay. That's his executive privilege. So if you hear somebody says the president cannot, um, reshuffle his cabinet, that means it's someone who has spent the better part of the year running for president against the president while sitting in the president's cabinet. You sit in somebody's cabinet, you were brought in to help him execute his office, but you're busy running for president. You see what is happening in most of the forums, the insults that have been levied at the president. Now, some of us who have stayed loyal, they call us hand clappers. Let me ask you something. When someone invites you to serve in his administration, competence takes the back seat to loyalty. If you cannot be loyal to your president, the most honorable thing to do is for you to resign and tell the president, Mr. President, my values and yours doesn't match. So I will resign in protest and go your way. But when you sit there from forum to forum, being a member of the executive branch of government, bashing and tearing down everything that the president is trying to do, insulting the president, making sensational remarks about him. Some people don't even know that for a member of the executive to even go to the Restoration Council to testify, they have to seek permission from the chief executive. These are two branches of government. And when you serve within the executive branch of government, you are covered by that executive privilege. Out of courtesy, if the Restoration Council were to call me to testify on anything, I will have to seek the advice of the president if I should go or not. That is the way governance is. There's a clear separation of powers when it comes to the legislative branch of government and the executive. So it's like, I think, just like Dr. Mungwa said, we need some basic education on governance and how things are
I
done.
think you
So,
you seem to have a lot of insight uh, on issues of governance. I hope I would have the opportunity to bring you again one of these days, maybe on an exclusive discussion, or should I say, moment of truth, so that you can talk some truth and our people will get to. Now, I'm coming back to you, the one and only beautiful lady on the platform, Dr. Patience. We are always excited to have you. Your smile always radiates hope, not just to us. I think to your colleagues, the ladies that are working with you, they're very excited working around you. And our people definitely are getting the same energy, I'm sure. I'm very confident. I want to come back to you. And we're all going to relate to this. We'll be transitioning into the studios very soon because the president is already there waiting. I want to ask a question. Um, if you are the president of Ambazonia now, owing to what is happening this year, what will you be telling the people tonight? I'm talking to you, Dr. Patience. Looking forward to 2022.
That's a big order
I
there.
want to apologize for starting with you because you see, the
Yes,
gentlemen are preparing their speech already.
yes.
I didn't give you the
So,
chance. Please just say what you say. I know you're competent.
yes, um, I will be telling the Ambazonian people first that I am privileged to serve them on this journey to Boya, that I'm honored to serve them on this journey to Boya, and that we need to keep our eyes on the ball. That in every family, every now and then, you have disunity, you have fights, but there comes a time where we come together for that singular goal of achieving what we want as a family. And what does all Ambazonia want? What do we want? We want to reclaim our land. I will appeal to them to trust me that when the time comes, when it's very clear that I cannot do the job, I will step aside if there's a right person to take over. That a lot has been done so far
Wow.
that I have what it takes to take us further, and trying to make me leave this position at this time is not good for the nation, because
Okay,
my
thank you very
goal
much.
is what is good for the nation. That's what I will tell them, to support me and let all those who have felt for one reason or another that have failed them to come back into the fold, come back into the family, and let's work together. That's what I will tell them.
Thank you very much. I gave you so much time because you're the only lady on the platform. And I want to
Okay.
apologize to the ladies that I hope by the time we're getting on post speech analysis, I could have the press secretaries with me and Dr. Yaya, if possible. Dr. Yaya particularly indicated that she would like to be with us. Now, Dr. Mungo, I'm coming to you. You have 90 seconds only 90 seconds. If you are president of Ambazonia today, what will you be telling the people?
Oh my goodness! Obviously, that's a tall order, as Dr. Biedu said. But one thing is very clear: the reason why I'm president is to make sure that I put in place strong institutions. As long as we're on the path of putting in place the strong institutions, I have no trouble leaving when these institutions are actually serving the Amazonian people. Remember, we don't want strong men. We want strong institutions. And if I'm out there, I will make sure all these institutions are well installed. We have the right operating mechanisms. We make sure that all the audits, all the lessons learned, we can factor in to make sure that they are strong and they should serve the Amazonian people. If I'm happy that all that is in place, I wouldn't worry what comes after. That's what I'm going to tell the Amazonian people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We're going to see who carries the day as to what the president says. Comrade Eric, you're going to take last. Dr. Anderson, please. You are Mr. President for 90 seconds.
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Ambazonia. Dr. Ambazonians.
Fellow Ambazonians,
I
I
like
want
that.
all of you to give another chance, another confidence, because there is a lot to be done. And as you guys looking left and right, whom do you think can actually lead you guys out of this? Please give me one more chance to be, La Republic head on, so that we can reach in Boya in no distant time. Thank you.
Okay. The man with the lion voice. You are the president and you have 90 seconds, please.
I've got to tell Ambazonians, if I were, that they are the drivers. The government is just the car. They have to tell the government where to go and how fast. The reason I say this is because I think the Amazonian people are looking up too much to their government without necessarily knowing that this government was intended to be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's the way it was modeled. And the only way you can have an honest society is when constitutionality takes precedence to everything. If you cannot follow the constitution, then the minds of women and men are going to govern you, in the sense that when a bunch of people sit somewhere, I don't care where, in the executive branch of government or in the legislative branch of government, and have a discussion over tea and say, you know what, I think this should happen. And that becomes the constitution. then you know what they have done? They have actually told you, the people, that you don't matter. No one's thoughts should ever supersede the power of the Constitution, because every law of this land must fall in line with the Constitution. So if someone were to pass a law today and say women cannot serve in Ambazonia, it will be unconstitutional, because that's discriminatory. So Ambazonians, please read your Constitution. And when it comes to the Restoration Council, go and read the Constitution. Make sure you familiarize yourself with chapter 5, 6, and 7. Those 3 chapters will tell you exactly what their limitations are and what their responsibilities are. Most of the things that some members of the executive government have been pushing them to do is unconstitutional. I will say it as it is because I have read it. Familiarize yourself with your constitution. This is your country. This country doesn't belong to Dr. Sako or Dr. Harrison Abongo or Mr. Eric Acte or Professor Ayin or any of us here. It belongs to you, the Ambazonian people. And the only guarantor to your freedom is your constitution. If anyone doubts what I'm saying, go pick up that constitution, take some time and read it. And Dr. Mungo, I think what one thing we should do is to make an audio recording of the Constitution, because our people love to actually listen than actually read, because we don't have time. We work a lot in the diaspora, so we don't really have time to sit down and read. I think somebody should take some time and just record the Constitution so that it should be embedded in the DNA of our people, so that when some recalcitrant leader or whoever out there start using his own thought process to impose on the Ambazonian people, the Ambazonian people will say, you know what? I know my constitution. If you don't like what is written there, please amend it. But don't go against it. Because when you use your thought, what you think, to push the constitution behind, someone will say, oh, I said this, and that's what it's going to be. No, you can't do that. Let's educate the people about the constitution. So, Paddy, I think we'll be working on that in the next few days.
Yes,
Try to make a recording of our constitution and put it out there.
In about 1 minute's time, we're transitioning. Fellow Amazonians, we will be getting into the studios right now. We are told that the president is getting ready to come. If you want to get a pen, because I do have mine. You can take down some notes, because we will be analyzing immediately after the president is done, and then the figure for the next will be coming up. So we will have a strategy most probably for 2022. Stay tuned, take a cup of coffee, get some water, get some peanuts, whatever you have for New Year. I know there's still some ching ching left for Christmas. Get your ching ching and chicken and enjoy as we go on. Over to the studio, please. I'm sorry for taking so much time.
And I kept searching.
And searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes, yes, yes! Thank you!
If you were looking for one as well,
Look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
thank you.
voiceless. Bringing the state of the struggle on your fingertips. Unmasking the genocide in Ambazonia. Reporting first-hand untold stories from Africa. Donate to ABC Amba TV today, the voice of Ambazonia. Internationalize the struggle and keep Ground Zero abreast. Cash App 240-486-8768. Hashtag $AmbaABC. Zelle, donations at ambazoniafoundation.org. PayPal, support at abcambath.com.
Borrowing from Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, we can describe the year 2021 just ended as follows. It was the best of times. It was also the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, but it was the age of foolishness for some. It was the epoch of belief. It was also the epoch of incredulity for some. It was the season of light. It was also the season of darkness for a few. It was the spring of hope for Ambazonia, but it was also the winter of despair for the enemies of Ambazonia. We recorded the biggest victories ever recorded in our liberation quest. And notwithstanding, we also witnessed some real and artificial challenges as we scaled up this mountain as an institution and as a governmental authority of our liberation machinery. I wish to wave a warm goodbye to 2021, and I cannot wait to wish you all a much more victorious New Year 2022. My dear people, once again I come before you at the eve of a new year to express my gratitude to all those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice in our quest to restore the independence of our homeland, which has been illegally annexed and exploited by Franco-Bulu genocidaires of La République du Cameroon. On behalf of the interim government, the members of government from all tiers, I extend our collective appreciation first and foremost to all of you Ambazonians, especially on Ground Zero, for your courage and resilience, and most importantly, to our valiant Ambazonia Restoration Forces, our ARFs, for the acts of bravery in the fiercest defense of our homeland, the pride and dignity you have restored to our beloved nation by standing up to the bluff of our bullies will be engraved in our history as the primordial achievement in our liberation quest this far. We pay homage especially to patriots and heroes who have paid the ultimate price in the battlefields, as we renew our solemn commitment to carry on this fight to its logical conclusion. Let's pay a special tribute to our brave mothers and women who bear the highest brunt of this war, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, as they bury or witness the disappearances of their brothers, husbands, and fathers or grandfathers, as they stand and see the enemy summarily execute, abduct, maim, and molest their precious ones every day. I feel your pain and anxiety. I have a word for you though. It shall be over soon, sooner than later, if we don't relent. You have lost husbands, brothers, and sons prematurely. Some of you have been violated in the most vicious manner through acts of rape and sexual molestation by opportunistic barbarians. Many of our older mothers and grandmothers who should be enjoying the best years of their lives with their families are now homeless as the Franco-Bulu slave masters send their thugs to race down our homes indiscriminately and cause some of them to die of shock and reduce our able Ambazonians to beggars seeking refuge in strange lands. You will be given a special place in the annals of this war for a free Ambazonia. We will never forget your unparalleled sacrifices. A memorial should be erected in honor of such Ambazonia women in our National War Museum. And that's the least we must do when we get to Boya. As many names as shall be remembered shall be etched on the walls of that memorial in perpetuity. Thank you for holding firm to our God-ordained struggle and never giving up. Let us now dedicate a moment of silence to all our fallen heroes, especially our women. May their souls rest in power. Dear Ambazonians, whatever the height of evil you observe out there meted to us by the barbaric French Cameroon Republic, from Bambalang to Mbatu, which happened just last week, do not stagger. It is evidence of the enemy's increasing desperation and bankruptcy of options. When a doctor starts recycling prescriptions, even though the symptoms are escalating, know he has run out of formulae or solutions. Whatever campaign their media enablers, proxies, and inside contractors are doing out there, do not stagger Ambazonians. They are the last kicks of a dying horse. There is no doubt that our brave Ambazonian restoration forces have stood the test of time, and the enemy can no longer comfortably stroll into our backyard, kill our people at random, record their heinous acts with selfies, as they used to do 5 years ago. Those days are over. They are gone. Talking about things and events to remember, it's the interim government's leadership that has obliged French Cameroon to seriously rethink their occupation of Ambazonia after 60 uninterrupted years. We have forced them to rethink the one Cameroon lie, to consider coming to the table to negotiate the security and prosperity of our two distinct countries. We have forced them to contemplate withdrawing their troops from every inch of the Ambazonian territory as an option, to end every form of assimilation and oppression of our people. We will force them to release every Ambazonian victim under their illegal detention and oblige them to join the rest of the civilized world to respect the territorial integrity of Ambazonia. It is time for us to defend our restoration. We have, through economic sabotage, made French Cameroon to realize that access to what they used to consider as their farmland will no longer be a joyride for the forces of occupation. We have imposed a high cost on the negligence and recklessness of French Cameroons. Their presence in our land is no longer tolerated. Their supply routes are no longer safe. We have a sustained ground campaign of popular rejection of French Cameroon annexation today, even by our babies. But this is just a mild expression of our determination and commitment to defend the restored independence of our God-given nation. The Ambazonian spirit is growing stronger by the day. We are the descendants of Kuvali Kenya, the mountain king, of Fontem Azonganyi, the forest warrior king, of Fon Galiga, the grassfield warrior. These audaciously, with primitive war tools, stood against the sophisticated war machines of foreign dominions and prevailed. We shall prevail. We must remember that there's only one choice we are left with at this time: total independence for our motherland, Ambazonia. We must stay the course, either as individuals or as a collective. We must stay the course, whether it is sunshine or rainfall. We must not relent until our goal is fully actualized. My fellow Ambazonians, dear Southern Cameroonians, in the humanitarian front, diplomatic front, communication, self-defense, negotiation, we made the most gains last year in the history of our struggle since 1961. We should not gratify the enemy by allowing the recent residues of friendly fire or the stench from self-inflicted wounds on social media during the last quarter of 2021 to becloud our optimism. We are at the most memorable time in our political history with opportunity to seize our destiny now. You may want to ask or know where we are, and it's just as legitimate a timing for our collective curiosity. My fellow countrymen, if you are angry enough for the butchery of our people, if you dream my dream of nationhood, if you share the undying spirit of the Ambazonians' divine will, and if you partake in the promising sacrifice of this quest, then join me in 2022 as part of your national duty. Let us finish our only assignment we have. Let our catchphrase this year, let it be, please don't distract me in 2022. Anyone who closely observes the evolution of our God-ordained struggle will understand that while the enemy has entered the barren phase of recycling failed strategies, otherwise known as decline, our ARFs are still in the innovation phase, upgrading progressively. In 2022, we will put more strategic tools in the hands of our defense leadership in all countries, and that means developing the crucial capabilities and capacity to effectively administer command and control of our national territory by up to 80 to 90%. We will take the fight to every major city against every symbol of enemy occupation and begin to also pay the enemy in his own coin. This will be the year when we must begin responding appropriately to the senseless killings of our innocent civilians by French Cameroon soldiers, using every means possible. Diplomatically, we will continue this year to secure and strengthen partnership with governments, with organizations and agencies, and seek bilateral and multilateral engagements to promote our cause. Our ground game being our locomotive, we will aim at forcing the Republic terrorist regime to rethink their hesitation to come meet us on the table for a negotiated solution. They will agree with us this year with our common sense equation, which says the pen is lighter than the bullet. We shall also revolutionize our communication strategy so we talk more to the outside world, so that our narrative becomes the standard narrative across the continent of Africa especially. Fellow compatriots, I don't know if he did an awful job in his lifetime, but it is recorded by historians that at the time of his death, on the 4th of April 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a job approval rating of 29%. Today, his birthday has become a national holiday in America. And disrespecting him is tantamount to political suicide, whether you are black or white in America. As warriors, we should be ready to be misunderstood now, to be understood later. It is better to be criticized by one generation and be celebrated by another. Sometimes it will be better to be killed in the gallows by those you are fighting for, so monuments may be raised on your ashes by their innocent offsprings. And I will prefer to fall by the arrows of my brothers, of those I eat and sleep with, those I called my comrades, than to fall by the sword of my enemy, lest they take my body away as a trophy. David said, I don't care if I fall, but let me not fall by the sword of my enemy. Ambazonia, fear not. We will not fail and we will not fall. We have overcome the worst. The distance ahead is shorter and more predictable than the distance we have covered since 1961. United or separated, creeping or walking, tired or retired, crying or smiling, with many or with few, we are condemned to finish this course. We must enter Buea in our lifetime. The interim government is not just a structure. It is the embodiment of our liberation dream. It is the spirit of Ambazonia. So whether in the IG or out of the IG, be of the IG. Those who don't care if we rise or fall by their actions, those who say we don't need this IG, are speaking the tongues of the enemy. How can any right-thinking person collapse the only bridge over this terrible river full of crocodiles without considering the consequences of their actions on all of us? We have made remarkable strides in 2021. And this will go down the annals of this revolution as the year the tides turned in our favor, as the year we changed the game on the ground. We identified, degraded, and neutralized enemy forces in 2021 more than any time in the history of this war, demonstrating mastery and control while ensuring greater safety of our forces through improved self-defense capabilities. Those achievements came as a result of implementing our national strategic security plan that ensured advanced tactical training of our troops on the latest self-defense techniques and capabilities. After 3 years in this war, our operational efficiency, built on the in-depth analysis of enemy capabilities, operational model, and vulnerabilities, paid off as we systematically improved on our common infrastructure. In fact, the effects of the drafts are visible for all to see. These are the results of vision, strategy, dedication, and sacrifice by many known and unknown patriotic Ambazonians working for this government and for their people. We did not do all this without flaws, without losses, without setbacks or challenges. In fact, we achieved this despite many pitfalls and mistakes. But if this aircraft were Ambazonia and the engine thereof was the IG, do you think we can turn the engine on or and off mid-air because we want to do some repairs? And would that be a great idea? Think about what exactly is the problem with the aircraft before you give me an answer. We will invest our time and passion this year to manage issues. We will not manage egos or break our focus, paralyze our momentum, or reduce our liberation struggle to a mere personality pageant. We are going to embrace any willing compatriot, our minor disagreements notwithstanding, to forge ahead as a team, my fellow Ambazonians. We cannot manage our struggle on the media. No liberation movement does that. Those of you specialized in spreading smear campaigns against fellow comrades should ask yourselves how that is helping us to win the war against our common enemy. If an Ambazonian in government or out of government has a genuine complaint, an allegation or accusation against a member of government, he or she should consider taking it to the ethics committee first, or to our other oversight bodies such as the Restoration Council, the Judicial Council, the Office of the Comptroller General, or the Intergovernmental Oversight Committee for investigation. If any so-called allegations cannot be presented to the government for investigation, then it should be discarded as trash from the enemy's kitchen. It is not worth our liking and sharing on social media or our chat fora. When you spend all your time to share and spread untrue stories and attack your own comrade publicly, instead of attacking the enemy, you are passing the wrong message to our partners and sympathizers. You are telling them the problem between us is bigger than our problem with French Cameroon. You are also positioning yourself for enemy's recruitment or hire by his secret service agents to destroy our own quest. You are making yourself a banana, and monkeys will be your guest. Whether you like them or not, they will flood your phone and social media space with likes and friendship requests. Fellow compatriots, I will not keep you in the dark anymore. While a small group of people in the shadows are plotting to undermine the fate of 8 million Ambazonians dead and alive. A few days ago, the chairman of our Restoration Council, Mr. Elvis Cometa, told me he will be calling for presidential elections early in the year. He told me the Restoration Council decided that there will be elections, and whatever the interim constitution says to the contrary about these elections do not matter, suggesting that our lawmakers are above the constitution and that they can agree on anything of their choosing, and their resolution or agreement automatically supersedes the provisions of our constitution. I asked Mr. Cometa if he should not rather call for a constitutional amendment to include a term mandate for the president if that were necessary. He retorted by advising me to triple my gloves because his elections must hold as he has decreed. I want you all to know that that arbitrary decision by the Restoration Council to organize elections at this time was officially nullified in November 2021 on grounds of unconstitutionality by a majority opinion of our Judicial Council. Let me tell you what I know about every democracy. The Constitution takes preeminence over every other law, every resolution, agreement, or piece of paper. So I think the institution of our Restoration Council is in the process of being hijacked by a handful of Restoration Council members who despise the rule of law, who despise our Constitution, who think they are now the kingmakers of Ambazonia. I call on every local government and county to recall their Restoration Council member, organize a General Assembly, and interrogate your representatives to be sure that they are propagating your views, your opinions, and not their private agendas. That they are defending the Constitution, the institution, and not demeaning our Constitution in favor of some extraneous interests. All Ambazonians should, however, know that I will not legitimize such an unconstitutional charade masterminded by a few kingmakers in the Restoration Council by offering my candidature in such an election. Those that make laws should of necessity be law-abiding. Our Restoration Council has no mandate to organize elections in Ambazonia. No parliament in the world organizes elections. Parliaments only validate election results. My abstention should make it easier for Mr. Kometa and in the Restoration Council to simply go ahead and present to Ambazonia his candidate for his own constitutional elections, and let's grant him the dream of swearing his candidate of choice as our next president despite the Constitution. Dear Ambalanders, with each passing year, Ambazonians have demonstrated their commitment to funding this struggle as evident by our financial contribution during the just ended 2021 draft. Our draft commitments this year rose up to $1.7 million. Thank you all our financial warriors, especially to those who have paid their drafts in full. Also, let's remember our commitment towards the People's ABC TV, HSS, and the Stabilization Basket, otherwise known as the Presidential Basket. On diplomacy, the interim government wants to firmly assure the Ambazonian people that the Swiss-led process is still alive and remains the only internationally recognized instrument or process as of now to bring an end to this conflict in an equitable manner for a sustainable, just peace. All efforts by detractors to kill the process failed woefully as we witness futile attempts to tarnish its role and expectations. Both the European Union and British Parliament boosted our plight last year through their most recent discussion or resolutions. The interim government continues to engage with the United States Department of State and the United Nations and friends of the mediation process to bring an immediate end to this conflict. A major breakthrough in 2021 was the internationalization of the conflict through outreaches to regional news media on the African continent. The successful hosting of a meet-the-press session or meet-the-press sessions with local Nigerian press created a communication channel that disarmed many false statements that the evil government of dictator Paul Biya had fed the Nigerian government and its people in an attempt to seek sympathy. In the coming year, this outreach will be enhanced and multiplied by targeting the West, East, and South African states. We believe that the Africanization of this conflict will boost our chances for a quick resolution, as we have witnessed increasing sympathy for our cause within the continent. We will also push for a third party to sue La République du Cameroon in the International Court of Justice. Furthermore, The international or the interim government will reach out to the major power brokers this year, the United Kingdom, France, and the USA, to assure them of our good intentions as a nation in the sub-region, which include peaceful relations between Ambazonia and La Republic, plus her proxies, and between Ambazonia and Nigeria, and between Ambazonia and Equatorial Guinea. Fellow Ambazonians, concerning the AFCON, forcefully organized from the January the 9th to February the 6th, 2020 in Ambazonia, in our territory, we have said and continue to emphasize that we cannot guarantee the safety and security of foreign teams, officials, tourists, and spectators coming to Ambazonia during that tournament. We have made it clear that our intelligence on La Republique's strategy to attack foreigners, tourists in Victoria and Buea, and blame our restoration forces in order to discredit our cause in front of the African community, as they tried to do in Taraba State in Nigeria and failed. The coming year will also be challenging. Once more, thank you, Ambazonians, especially those who have paid their drafts, and we encourage those who pledged or who still have to draft to honor their engagement. No one is neutral. No draft, and to draft is a patriotic duty, and all bona fide certain Cameroonians should endeavor to take part in this patriotic exercise. As we progressively implement the recommendations of the 2019 National Audit Report, we recognize the managerial shortcomings of some local governments and counties. Building strong institutions do not happen overnight. We recognize the challenges, and we are prepared and willing to correct them through structural adjustments. A more robust Intergovernmental Oversight Committee, IOC, will improve oversight on managerial protocols we put in place to align with the 2019 audit recommendations and ensure greater transparency and accountability in our government. In this light, we encourage greater participation of Ambazonians in governance at all levels. Everybody cannot walk at the back. We need some people in front. Also, this year, we are going to administer our Liberation Quest as one large executive house and one large defense house. Together, we will learn together, grow together, strategize, and fight as one man. In reviewing the APP model in 2022, we envision our second ASSC Washington this year. This will enable us to come together virtually or physically to take stock and together make structural reviews of our model. Those who have identified problems with our APP model should plan to attend our ASSC Washington this year. Fellow Ambazonians, our journey to Buea is no different than any journey through the bumpy roads of our neglected territory of Ambazonia. Nothing but trust in your interim government will ensure a safe ride home notwithstanding, as we continually remind ourselves that there is no family without problems. But if the progress we have made this far is any measure of our leadership of this struggle, it means we are no strangers to problems. We are no strangers to challenges and solutions in the interim government. After all, success has been defined as finding solutions to problems. We can disagree to agree, or agree to disagree. But we cannot make disagreement a career or way of life by dwelling in disagreement, especially during this liberation phase when we are not practicing campaign-style politics. Let me clarify those Ambazonians who think the president is there to solve all problems within the IG. No, we have challenges at all levels, and we address them through our institutional and oversight frameworks. The IG is a functional institution. Resolved and unresolved matters get to my desk mostly through institutional referrals by departmental heads and oversight agencies. I cannot address or resolve any issue if the complainant categorically refuses that I should hear the matter of his or her complaint. I can only wish such a complainant well and wait for any recommendations that may be sent to my table for executive consideration. This is my position with regard to the ongoing matter by the Secretary of State for Communications and IT pending with the Ambazonia Restoration Council. Our differences in opinion or approach should not deviate our team from its common destination. My belief is that we will reach Buea in one huge locomotive, but maybe in different coaches. That is what the IG, our umbrella movement in our struggle, is, whether you accept it or not. So no one can leave the interim government because you are always going to be the interim government. You can call yourself SCNC, Consortium, Sako, Independent, SCAM, APLM, Morris, AGC, or Ambazonia. Your hopes of our liberation are built 90% on what the interim government does. That is the reality. We are therefore all IG in spirit. IG was never founded to be a group. Learn from our fighters. What is their affiliation? Are they not all IG? ARFs. They are one. Fellow Ambazonians, as Commander-in-Chief, my word to the Ambazonian people is unambiguous. I am simply executing the mandate that was given to me by the people. I shall never deviate without your express authorization. Because you, the Ambazonian people, are the only ones I am accountable to. No one else. I will not be intimidated by anyone born of a woman to do anything contrary to my best judgment. I cannot be compromised by flesh and blood because I don't want to sell the graves of our over 35,000 killed in this senseless war for the price of betrayal. That is my pledge as we move into the new year 2022, so help me God. Short live the war and long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. God bless our beautiful country.
The voice of the voiceless. Bringing the state of the struggle on your fingertips. Unmasking the genocide in Ambazonia. Reporting first-hand untold stories from Africa. Donate to ABC Amba TV today, the voice of Ambazonia. Internationalize the struggle and keep Ground Zero abreast. Cash App 240-486-8768. Hashtag $AmboABC. Zelle, donations at ambazoniafoundation.org. PayPal, support@abcambath.com. Thank you. Incorporation. The voice of the voiceless. Bringing the state of the struggle on your fingertips. Unmasking the genocide in Ambazonia. Reporting first-hand untold stories from Africa. Donate to ABC Amba TV today, the voice of Ambazonia. Internationalize the struggle and keep Ground Zero abreast. Cash App 240-486-8768. Hashtag $AmboABC. Zelle, donations at ambazoniafoundation.org. PayPal, support at abcambath.com. Thank you.
That was the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, addressing his people, the peace-believing and peace-loving peoples of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Ambazonians from all around the world came in their numbers, from the Americas, from the Europe, from Africa, from Ground Zero, Ground One. They came to listen to the Commander-in-Chief himself, to get nuggets for 2022. The message has been given, and I have with me on the platform a wonderful set of individuals. Amazonians, I want to tell you, I have not slept for at least 2 days. The technicians would want to bring in some more people, so we will have about 5 or 10 minutes of a discussion, and then we will come back with a panel. I hope to have one of the press secretaries at least, and then the Dr. Ndula of Ethics Commission or Committee will be here, and I'll be trying to connect them. Please, we will also take live calls from Ground Zero. We hope to be live until midnight in Ambazonia so that we can pop the champagnes and click the stars together and celebrate this day together. We will have many, many more people joining this panel, and so we will have a pause in a few minutes. The speech will always be rebroadcasted. The YouTube channel of ABC Amba TV is now functional. You will have the speech being rebroadcasted even on Facebook when we're done with the post analysis, and all through tomorrow you will have it going in Ground Zero and all of our platforms. Prepare your questions to ask, prepare your messages to share, your opinion as to what the president has discussed tonight. We had a president who I'm sure disappointed many. Some had predicted that he was coming to do cabinet reshuffle. Some had predicted that perhaps he was going to come and preach a message of divide. But it's a president who thinks collective, who looks at the big picture. A president amidst the turbulence, his stamina is there, right and strong. It is a president who never relents. He is always on course, always focused, always thinking of what next to make things get better instead of crying over spilled milk. He is a president that has proven beyond every reasonable doubt that he can lead a people like us at this time, the people that have been depressed, oppressed, and tortured for several years, and out of excitement, we go beyond an extensive borders, the people of mixed attitude, where our cultures have been tainted by the foreign forces of occupation. We need a president like Dr. Sako that is calm-headed. You've heard him. The president said, I don't know where to start, but I hope that I'll start somewhere and we will decode, download it, and talk and talk. The president promised us that he's no longer going to keep no secrets. Shockingly, we're made to understand today that we might be having a man at the helm of the legislative branch of our government that does not have a copy of the interim constitution. That could be unfortunate. It is either ignorance or arrogance. And if it be ignorance, then I would say the man at the helm of the Restoration Council is a man of questionable character. If it is out of arrogance, then I would say it is an assault to the integrity and the dignity of the peoples of Ambazonia. And that will not be tolerated in a nation like ours that we're looking forward to have it great. Fellow Ambazonians, I am revived, I'm energized. I feel like making an announcement after the president's speech. I want to tell you to stay on your TV screens. We will be back in 10 minutes to have our post analysis with the great panel.
Big problem.
I really needed
A good videographer.
And I kept searching.
And searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one.